iPhone 8 design. What's new? The biggest change we are expecting to see from the iPhone 8 is a huge ramping up of the handset's screen-to-body ratio. That ratio describes how much of the phone's front is occupied by display, and having an all-screen front appears to be a big trend in smartphones. LG has already debuted such a design for the LG G6, and the Samsung Galaxy S8 followed suit later in 2017. The thinking is that you'll be able to fit a 5.5-inch screen, like the iPhone 7 Plus, in the form factor of a 4.7-inch iPhone, like the iPhone 7. This will almost certainly require the removal of the home button from the front of the phone, in order to slim down the handset's bezel. There are some rumors that suggest we'll see a curved screen on the most premium iPhone 8 model, but there's no clear consensus among leakers and analysts that this will be the case. In August 2016, a report from Bloomberg, written by longtime Apple leaker Mark Gurman reads, Apple is already at work on a major redesign of the iPhone for 2017 that focuses more heavily on the display, by removing the home button. Then in September 2016, the New York Times wrote, next year's iPhone will have a full screen face with the virtual button built directly into the screen. However, analyst Andy Hargreaves claims that Apple is struggling to introduce an optical fingerprint sensor into the display, which could lead to Touch ID being scrapped completely. Likely options for Apple include a delay of production or elimination of fingerprint sensing on the old iPhone. We believe Apple continues to work on solving its optical fingerprint issues. If it's able to solve the problems in the next month or so, it would likely place volume orders at that point. He continued, this would likely lead to a delay of the old iPhone launch, but we wouldn't expect it to meaningfully affect volume for the cycle. If it isn't able to fix the problems in that time frame, Apple may be forced to eliminate fingerprint sensing from the old iPhone altogether. Both Bloomberg's Mark Gurman and top Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo have suggested that we'll instead see a facial recognition system used in lieu of the Touch ID fingerprint scanner. Despite Hargreaves' suggestion, however, reputable Apple tipster Sonny Dixon recently posted a claimed iPhone 8 schematic that appears to show the Touch ID fingerprint sensor moving to the back of the phone, as is the case in the Samsung Galaxy S8. According to prominent KGI securities analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple will be using a glass body, such as the one seen in the iPhone 4, and will build this around an aluminum or stainless steel frame. However, some sources, Makatakura, Digitimes, believe that only the biggest of the three rumored iPhone 8 variants will feature the new glass design. The handset is also tipped to retain the water-resistant design that we saw introduced with the iPhone 7. However, this may be increased to a more watertight IP68 rating to fall in line with rivals such as the Samsung Galaxy S8. While we can't verify the following leaked schematic from /leaks, it's still a decent representation of what you should expect from the new iPhone design. Another leak we've seen comes courtesy of Reddit via the fabled Chinese supply chain. The image below supposedly depicts several pieces of an iPhone 8, including the front panel, the rear panel, and the dual camera module. Unfortunately, we can't verify the following snap, so take it with a pinch of salt. And the latest leak was sourced to case maker Olixir via 9to5Mac, which seems fairly confident that this is a genuine representation of the final iPhone design. iPhone 8 specs. What's new? Screen. The big news this year is that Apple is expected to finally introduce OLED displays on the iPhone. It's a widely accepted theory, having been reported by the likes of the Korea Herald, Nikkei, Bloomberg, The Wall Street Journal, and even Taejeng Wu, president of Sharp. Unlike conventional LCD panels, the pixels on an OLED screen produce their own light. That means the screen doesn't need a backlight, saving power. But it also means that individual pixels can be turned off, allowing for truer blacks, thus improving dynamic range and widening the color gamut. Despite rivals such as Samsung having adopted OLED screens long ago, Apple has steered clear of the tech, possibly due to the fact that Samsung controls the lion's share of phone-sized OLED screen manufacturing. Apple is reportedly plotting three display sizes for the iPhone 8. 4.7 inches, 5.5 inches and 5.8 inches. It's believed that only the latter of the three will get the OLED upgrade. However, a report in July by Nikkei Asian Review suggests that all three iPhone models will get the new screen. Also, by virtue of the fact that the home button may be disappearing, analysts at KGI Research believe that the bottom of the iPhone 8 screen may be portioned off for functions. This new display function area at the bottom could potentially provide custom controls depending on the app you're using, a little bit like the touch bar on the new MacBook Pro. There's also talk of the iPhone 8 borrowing the iPad Pro's ambient light adjusting true tone display, albeit under a new "true color display" moniker. Performance. Apple is also highly likely to introduce a new system on a chip, SoC, for the iPhone 8, as is always the case with major iPhone releases. The iPhone 7 runs on the new A10 Fusion chip, but the iPhone 8 will utilize a new SoC, probably the unannounced A11 processor. A Digitimes report on July 18, 2016 suggested that Taiwan's TSMC had won the contract for the new chip. The Taiwan-based foundry will continue to be the sole supplier of Apple's next generation A11 processor that will be built on a 10nm FinFET manufacturing process. Production for the chip was said to have begun on May 12, 2017. For the unaware, 10nm describes the manufacturing process used to create the chip. The lower the number, the more densely transistors can be packed in. Transistors are what allow computing to get done, so the more transistors you have, the more processes can be completed simultaneously. This means you can increase power efficiency or offer boosted performance. Apple has never used a 10nm chip. The iPhone 7's A10 Fusion was created using a less efficient 16nm process. So we should see some serious power gains or battery life improvements from the iPhone 8. Photography. As far as the camera goes, KGI Securities believes that Apple will carry over the dual lens camera from the iPhone 7 Plus, although it isn't clear whether this will be available on select models. The only specific change mentioned is that both lenses, wide angle and telephoto, will feature optical image stabilization. Currently, only the wide angle lens features OIS. The analysts also believe that the iPhone 8 will use a revolutionary front camera that features 3D sensing capabilities. This could be used to determine depth and location of objects in a 3D space, allowing for interesting, augmented reality applications in the future. Regarding the latter, Bloomberg published a report in February that claimed Apple was planning our features for the iPhone, citing people with knowledge of the company's plans. The report details how Apple has built a team combining the strengths of its hardware and software veterans with the expertise of talented outsiders. One of the features Apple is exploring is the ability to take a picture and then change the depth of the photograph or the depth of specific objects in the picture later. Another would isolate an object in the image, such as a person's head, and allow it to be tilted 180 degrees, the report explained. A different feature in development would use augmented reality to place virtual effects and objects on a person, much the way Snapchat works. It continued, the iPhone camera features would probably rely on a technology known as depth sensing and use algorithms created by PrimeSense, an Israeli company acquired in 2013. Apple may choose to not roll out these features, but such additions are an up-and-coming trend in the phone business. Power. There's also plenty of speculation that Apple will finally add wireless charging with the iPhone 8. For a start, Apple joined the Wireless Power Consortium, WPC, back in February. The WPC is in charge of developing the key wireless charging standard, which is the one used for Samsung's Galaxy S7. Pair that with the fact that there's a glass body rumored for the iPhone 8, and suddenly wireless charging looks very likely. Unfortunately, the fact that the glass body may only appear on select iPhone 8 models may mean wireless charging won't be available on all devices. The other big rumor circulating is that Apple may ditch the Lightning port for USB-C. However, Ming Chi Kuo believes that won't actually happen. Instead, he thinks the USB-A portion of the charging cable will be replaced by USB-C, while the other end will remain as a Lightning connector. This means you wouldn't need fancy new dongles to charge your phone, but you'd still benefit from the advantages of USB Type-C. We believe all three new iPhones launching in 2H17 will support fast charging by the adoption of Type-C power delivery technology, while still retaining the Lightning port, wrote Kuo. A key technical challenge lies with ensuring product safety and stable data transmission during a fast charge. iPhone 8 software, will it run on iOS 11? At the annual WWDC conference in June, Apple showcased the latest version of its mobile and tablet operating system, iOS 11. There's no proper release date for iOS 11 just yet, but the developer preview is already available, with a public beta scheduled for later this summer. Importantly, the iPhone 8 is almost guaranteed to run on Apple's new iOS 11 software, given that iOS 10 is now technically outdated. So what's new? Well, there are plenty of upgrades coming with iOS 11, including an update to messages. In iOS 11, there will be a bigger focus on apps and stickers, featuring a redesigned app picker. There's also cloud syncing so your messages carry, or delete, across from an old phone to a new phone. Siri is getting a new voice that makes her much more lifelike too. It's a clear bid to tackle growing competition from rivals like Amazon's Alexa and the Google Assistant. She'll also be able to translate your voice and speak out the response. Other changes include updates to the camera and photos, a redesigned control center, and modifications to Maps, Apple Music, and the App Store.